So the model Lily Cole posted a handful of pictures on Instagram of herself in a burqa, tagged with essentially a post praising diversity. In the week where we've been talking about the events in Afghanistan and the takeover of the Taliban. What do you make of this?
We're Taliban chic, as Brendan said on Spike this week. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I mean, it shows you why you shouldn't go to celebrities for your opinions. She said that she hadn't read the news, and that's why she didn't realise it would seem so insensitive to post a picture of yourself in a burqa at a time in which young women in Kabul and elsewhere were being forced to wear them for the first time in their lives. I also thought the backlash was interesting to it, because a big part of it was to say that it was cultural appropriation, which is interesting. You know, you're wearing a misogynistic garment, and the thing people want to say about it is, "Hey, stay in your lane, sister." It's a bit ridiculous. But and also the fact that she, in her apology, she apologised for not wearing it properly.
Yeah, in other words, showing her face, not covering up completely.
Which seems to me to get things slightly the wrong way around, how identity politics just kind of screws everything up to the point where, again, in this scandal, the thing to apologise for is those two things, rather than the fact that you are in some way, shape or form kind of lionising as a symbol of diversity, an image of deep misogyny and lack of rights for women. But that's the world that we live in, unfortunately.
Ella?
The conversation about the burqa has become so twisted in this country, because there's the suggestion that unless you wholeheartedly celebrate and support it as something that's a fantastic option for women, then you're Islamophobic. And if there is a real difference there should be a real difference between being tolerant to people's religious views and saying wear the headscarf or the burqa or whatever you want, if that is what you want to do, which is women in the West have the choice to make that decision. Women in Kabul at the moment don't have that choice, and women in other parts of the world have to wear headscarves and burqas whether they like it or not. But that doesn't mean that I think it's fantastic, and I agree with the idea that you would cover yourself as a woman on a religious basis linked to your inferiority to men. There's a real pretense at the heart of this, which is, or the burqa is just this thing that people choose to do. It sucks it out of all meaning. I mean, any woman who wears it will tell you that it means something to her, that it is a symbol of her religious views, but that also it is loaded with meaning about men and women's relationships within that religious view. And we should be able to disagree with that, and we should be able to actually say it's wrong. And for someone like Lily Cole to use it in this kind of a way, not just as a kind of fashion garment and she's a model, but as a way of sort of obsequiously trying to lick arse Muslims and say, oh, I think it's so wonderful. At the same time as, by the way, on her Instagram and other social media posts, going on and on about women's rights, going on and on about how socially active she is, and all this kind of stuff. The cognitive dissonance is like making my head spin, because you can't do those two things at the same time. It's not just bad faith for yourself, but it's also insulting to those women who do choose to wear the burqa for reasons I disagree with. A tolerant society means being able to say, do it if you want, but I have the right to tell you, to try and convince you to live my way, because I think my way of living is better.
And that's the thing about the discussion around the burqa and the niqab. People try and treat it as if it's fundamentally just like a war on Muslim women to talk about this issue. Not only do most Muslim women, certainly in the West, not wear these garments, but also there's a big difference between that and just a hijab, which no one really cares about. No one's really got that much of a problem with. These garments in particular are about shutting women out of public life in the same way that they would usually, having to literally cover their faces. This is a fundamentally different question. But there's just so much either ill-informed or just bad faith conflation going on, to the point where if you talk about one, you're suddenly just being religiously intolerant or Islamophobic and racist. I mean, but this is a very specific thing, and it's just interesting to see even alleged kind of women's rights advocate influencer wade into this so cack-handedly. Just kind of shows how much confusion there is on this topic.